Hello everyone, and welcome to the first episode, although the third attempt at recording the same episode. I'm not sure what happened with the two previous, but they were just empty, like they were black screen. Audio was there, but there was no visuals. So I'm trying to record in yet another file format. I think it's the one that I was before. I don't know. We'll find out one way or the other now, won't we? Now, I haven't really messed around too much with settings and everything. I've got the game settings on almost maximum. It should be recording in 60 FPS, give or take, as well as in 1080p without any sort of frame scaling, so the blurry quality of the video before should not be a thing. Here, anyway. And I did plan on trying to record this about, over 24 hours ago. But problems with the new motherboard and there's been issues. This computer has been the biggest headache I think I've ever had in my life. Basically, there's a temperature probe on the motherboard that just doesn't work. It works, it does, but not really how it should. And we're going to have a talk about that. Because as I'm sure some of you remember from the last video, I do have a Ryzen 7 1800X that I bought last week, some point. Just specifically, God, this thing does not turn. Specifically for this new PC. I bought new graphics, everything is new. Every part of the computer is just new. I literally, right now, have two fully capable gaming PCs. One is crazy powerful, the other one is ridiculous. This is the one that's ridiculous. Hence the reason it should look better, run smoother, and everything else. Now, right now, I've got it in the case for the old one for testing, temperature, and just general Corsair fuckery, honestly. It took them over a week to send me the AM4 bracket for the H100i-V2 that I bought for this processor to go in the Corsair case. The Corsair power supply was stolen, unfortunately. I do have another one in the mail. It should be here probably next month, knowing in my luck, because they're out of stock at the moment. Whatever. Long, boring story, but the temperature sensor on the motherboard is not reading what it should. Like, I have a 360mm radiator that it's currently running off of, and it says I'm currently running at about 60 degrees Celsius, which, no, I shouldn't be, because the fans are on nearly 100%, the pump is on like 75%, it's in a Deep Cool Genome 2 case. It just shouldn't have a problem. But it does. Well, according to the, oh god, I'm gonna die trying to get down in here. I should have upgraded my truck. Anyway. For whatever reason, it's just not functioning the way it should, the temperature probe. The PC's running fantastic. I mean, I'm at 60 FPS, almost ultra settings, no complaints, looks fantastic, runs like a dream. No problem. Now, I get the feeling the load is not in here, but it could be. And it is. Oh, let's see if I can not beach myself here. Climb the hill. Power! There we go. Channel my inner Jeremy Clarkson. Now, this video is pretty much just the test video for a couple of reasons. I am not on the Kingpin. I am having issues with, really, the recordings. They're just black screening, and It's very, very annoying, and I know I just said that, and I'm going to say it again, because I want to. I tend to talk myself in circles. And if you've been here this long, or if you're just joining me, well, that's something you should either know, or you now know. Yes. I'm only human! That's something you probably don't know. What did I just get caught on? That hurt? No. I got caught on someone's imagination. Somebody's ego got a little too inflated there. You just bumped the truck. Whatever. Anyway. The new computer's running fine. Everything is running as it should. Except for the temperature probe. I don't know what's going on with that. I am lucky to have the computer that I do. I'm not rich or wealthy, really, by any stretch of the imagination. I don't work enough to afford this computer, but I am able to. I am very fortunate, very lucky, and that's not lost on me. If I wouldn't have worked the way I have, I wouldn't be able to afford it. I've worked very hard for a very long time to have this PC, and I planned on spending about 2/3 as much on it as I did. And I did spend as much on it as I did because of YouTube, for you guys, so you can enjoy the videos in better quality than on my old PC. Now, granted, on my old PC, I was on a 21:9 format monitor. I'm not using that right now. I'm using a 1080p monitor. That is because the majority of you are going to be using 1080p or less 16:9 aspect ratio monitors. And if you don't know what 16:9 aspect ratio or 1080p means, basically it's the vertical versus the horizontal. No. Horizontal versus the vertical number of pixels that your screen has. Now, that's not saying your screen has 16 pixels wide and only 9 tall. That's not what it means at all. It means for every 16 pixels that it is wide, there is 9 tall. Which is how you get the 1920 by 1080 or 1600 by 900 formats. That's just their standard. That's the number of pixels on your screen. If you multiply 1920 by 1080, 1920 times 1080, you're going to come up with the number of pixels that your screen, if you have a 1080p screen, if it shows, which is what mine does. Now, I have 3 of them here, which you can't see. I did upload one stream for a few minutes of all 3 monitors wide, but it was so narrow, it was ridiculous. I mean, I'm not going to do anything like that. I mean, as soon as 21:9 becomes a standard, which it's starting to, I'll start using a 21:9 monitor because I still have one. And in fact, it has a much higher resolution than this one. It's also an IPS panel and everything else, but it just is what it is. But I downgraded my monitor so you guys could watch it better with a lot less trying to scale, a lot less scaling going on. Because when you try to scale an image or a video, everything just gets fuzzy and hazy unless you do it by a factor of 2. Basically, like 4K. 4K is 4 times the resolution of 1080p. 1080p would technically be 1K. But it's 2 1080p panels wide, 2 1080p panels tall, which is 4 total panels. It's 4 times 1080p. That's where they get 4K. And I could have gone with a 4K monitor, and I was looking at 3 4K monitors. But I was looking at spending nearly $1,500 on monitors, and that would have cost me to have to cheap out a little bit more on the system itself, which is not something I'm willing to do. I'm going to have this system, because it is top of the line, for a while. I won't have these monitors forever. Monitors are a lot cheaper than trying to spend $600 or $700 on a graphics card, or $500 on a processor, or what have you. It's overbuilt to be future resistant. Not future proof. Nothing is future proof, but future resistant. I won't need to upgrade as frequently or as often as I normally would. And I'm happy with the PC. I mean, it's not in the case it should be in yet. It will be tomorrow. It's not in the current location where it's going to be. I'm actually recording this from my bedroom, but it's going to end up right across on the other side of the wall that I'm currently on in my stepdad's office. Now that's going to serve several purposes. It'll give me loads more room in here, and because of the way his office is laid out, it's going to give him more room in there. We have bookshelves, several of them, that have movies on it. Well, those bookshelves aren't really tall. I mean, they're about 3.5, 4 feet tall, but they're not really all that wide, so we have several of them to hold all of our DVDs, which are entirely outdated now. I mean, everyone watches Netflix or YouTube, but it makes for a nice, like that, once I get them the way I want them, it's going to look nice. Basically, I'm going to put the bookshelves with the movies along the current wall, and I'm going to put my TV on top of that with the cable box and a DVD player, Blu-ray. Might look at a game console. That's a possibility, but it's not a necessity. It's not something that I currently need. Not something that I really even want, to be honest with you. I'm not a console gamer. Obviously, I'm PC. And I'm PC for several reasons. And I'm not going to bash on consoles because for what they are good. And I do apologize for the dog barking in the background. That will be our little demon Cha-Cha. She just barks to bark. Nothing I can do about that. But I'm a PC gamer because there's more games. There are more games on PC that I am able to play right now than are on all other consoles combined. I have the entire Steam library, short of VR games, which I don't currently own. I don't own a VR headset. Aside from those, I have the entire Steam library at my current disposal. And with Steam summer sales and the Humble Bundle, Kingwin.net, I have a lot of games for next to no money. I think I paid full price for like 2, maybe 3 of the games that I currently own. Aside from that, I didn't. I got them on sale or off of Kingwin, or a friend sent them to me, because I do have friends that have sent me games, and you know, we return the favor. I send them games, they send me games, what have you. It all depends on what we want to play, how long we want to play it, and what we think of it. Block the road and I will drive around you. Blocking is bannable, and it is recommended that you do not try that again. Asshole. Anyway, the games on PC, I'm not going to say they run better. That is a gross overstatement. They do to an extent, but they also have more of a potential of failure. When you're on a console, you put the disc in the drive, you pick up your controller, and you go. That's simple. It's easy. Consoles are the iPhones of the gaming world. And it's just how it is. Everything is simple and easy. On PC, not everything is that simple and easy. You have to worry about specs, and you have to worry about specifications and frame rates and graphical options, frame drops, which is what that just was, compatibility, And that's not something you worry about on a PlayStation or an Xbox. Like, if you buy a PS4 game, it doesn't matter which version of the PS4 you have, it's just gonna work. It doesn't matter what Xbox you have, what Xbox One you have. If you buy an Xbox One game, it's just going to run. And it's gonna run the way it was intended. Console optimization at its finest. When you look beyond that, at what you give up for a console, you give up being able to fix it. You give up all forms of troubleshooting because you are limited by the box, the case that it comes in, the actual, the shell, the chassis, if you will. You're limited by that because cracking into that is not easy. Believe me, I've tried. It's a pain. But on PC, I don't have a problem with that. I take off 2 thumb screws, and I have all of half of the computer at my disposal. I take off 2 more thumb screws, I have all of the other half at my disposal. It's just right there. And that's the way it should be. I can service my PC. I can upgrade it to run better. You can't do that on console. Now, granted, I spent way too much on this PC. I could have built a PC that would have been similarly, it would have similar performance for a fraction of the cost. We've all seen it, it's been done. Jay's 2 cents, Linus Tech Tips, Tech of Tomorrow, you know, they've all done it. Every big tech YouTuber has done it. They've also all gone with, you know, full-on i7 Extreme Edition, you know, processors that are $1,000 in their PCs, and that's not something that I want. I don't want a $1,000 processor. If I can have a $500 processor that's comparable, I'll save my $500. I'll give up the bragging rights. Bragging rights. Not sure what that sound was outside, but bragging rights to me mean nothing. I mean, I can brag, oh yeah, Ryzen 7 1800X, 32 gigs of RAM, GTX 1080 Ti. You know, I have the specs to brag about. I have the price tag to brag about. That's not why I'm a PC gamer. PC is better. It is, if you're willing to do the work, if you're willing to put forth the effort, if you're willing to learn. Console, plug and play. You plug it in, you play your game. Click and done. PCs aren't so easy. I mean, you have 2 cables for an Xbox. The HDMI cable and the power cable. And arguably a charger cable for the controller if you want to get technical. But you have 2 cables. 2 necessary cables. For my PC, I have an octopus. I have an octopus out the back of my PC. I mean, there are 5 power cables. 1 for each monitor, 1 for the tower. Oh, crap. 1 for my wheel. 1 for the stereo, or my speakers. That's potential spam. That's my phone going off. I'm going to silence that. I do apologize. But I have more cables than I know what to do with. I mean, there's 6 power cables, 3 display cables, 2 audio cables, 3 audio cables. There's 2 USB ports for the keyboard, 1 for the mouse, 1 for the wheel. There's all the cables that connect my G29 to the pedals, to the shifter, to the computer. There's my phone charger. I mean, there's a lot of cables there. And moving my PC takes hours. Moving a console takes a few minutes. I mean, you reach behind the TV, you unplug the HDMI, you unplug the power brick, you pull the whole Xbox through, and you're done. With me, I have to worry about unplugging all of those cables, keeping them straight, keeping them organized, remembering where they go, remembering what they plug into, remembering the order in which that they go. It's a lot of work. But I'm willing to do it because I shockingly enjoy the hard work. Granted, we are in an age where doing things the easiest way is good. Everyone looks at that. I don't like doing things the easy way. If I wanted to do the things the easy way, then I would be a console gamer. I would be recording off of my laptop, off of an Xbox One with an Elgato. That's what YouTubers do. It's lazy. It's easy. It works. But there's no fun. There's no fun in that. There's no... What do you learn? I mean, I've been dealing with computers for 20 years. I'm 23, mind you. I'll be 24 in a month and a day. July 10th. That's my birthday. I'll be 24. And I've been dealing with computers for 20 years. I know what I'm doing. I know how to do it. And if I don't, well, I have Linus Tech Tips. I have Tech of Tomorrow. I have all the big YouTubers to go to. I have friends that work, that either do work, have worked, or plan on working for Microsoft. I have my father, who knows more about computers than I probably ever will. I have my grandfather, who probably doesn't, but he's been dealing with computers since long before I was born, before my father was born. And I've had to fix one or two small things on his computer over the years. I mean, he built his own. He's got an Extreme Edition i7, 64 gigs of RAM, NVIDIA, or not NVIDIA, but an AMD free, one of AMD's cards. He does a lot of AutoCAD 3D drawings. So he needs something like that. He needs his, God, what is it called? Fire Pro? AMD Fire Pro? I don't know. It's one of the AMD commercial cards. It's the Quadro for AMD. That's what it is. I prefer NVIDIA, but take your pick. I mean, you can't really go wrong. AMD or NVIDIA, AMD or Intel, you can't choose wrong between brands. You can choose wrong in the brand, depending on what you want to do. If you plan on playing games, you don't want to go with an i3 or a low-end i5, or you don't want to go with an FX series processor or an R5 series processor. They're not capable. They're not meant for it. Now, granted, Ryzen isn't meant for gamers anyway. The Ryzen platform was meant for creators. Yo, creating on YouTube, 1800X. That's why I went, well, that's not why I went there. That's one of the reasons. I was looking very hard at the i7 7700K, and pretty much the exact same motherboard with an Intel socket, but I couldn't pull the trigger on it. It felt like I was betraying AMD. They just released this new platform that they're constantly making better. As they release more information about it, motherboard manufacturers can utilize it more. Windows can use it more. It's only going to get stronger. As far as the i7s, they're pretty much done where they are. Everything is given to the manufacturers pretty much long before release. AMD didn't do that. It was a dumb move. It was an asshole move. But they did that. And they're kind of paying for it in the long run. They're not really performing where they should be, but I'm also using, like on the last video I did with the FX series, with my old PC, I was right now pulling 100% processor usage. I was also not running at this graphics settings. I was also not recording at such high quality, and I'm using 23%, 22% now. Why the hell am I looking at... Okay. I'm not quite sure what happened there. But this gives me the headroom to do many things at once. I can record and stream. I can stream to multiple platforms without having to worry about using a like Stream.io or something like that. If I wanted to record to YouTube and Twitch, well, I have two different versions of OBS. I can do that. If I wanted to do Twitch and Beam.pro, I can do that. I can do whatever I want because I have the power for it. I'm justifying before anyone is yelling at me saying, Intel or AMD master race. That's not how it is. I have what I have because it fits for what I need. It was my money to spend, and I spent it how I wanted. I don't regret a dollar I spent. Yes, I do. I regret all of the shipping that I paid buku bucks to get it here, a week ago today, and I'm just now doing this now. I plan on doing the same two videos between yesterday and today on Thursday and Friday of last week. But I couldn't because I didn't have the hardware. Well, I had everything I needed except for the bracket, which I have now today, but I'm not using it at the moment. I bought another bracket that I got yesterday, where my mother barged into my room, and we all had a good laugh about it. It was funny. Rude, granted, but funny. And I'm okay with that. That's just how I am. I don't want to get mad and angry and fuss and yell and spit and cuss. It's not who I am as a person. I mean, if I get mad, well, then all bets are off. I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and if you don't like it, well, oh well! Landed it. But what no one can argue is, if this video works, and this is, again, my third attempt at recording it, if this one works, then I think we can all agree it's running so much better, so much smoother. The graphics are sharper. It looks better. It runs better. It is better. Now, I'm not going to say the 7700K wouldn't have been equally as good. It probably would have, for my purpose. But if I start doing a lot at once, it wouldn't have kept up. I mean, it's shown. Under normal gaming workload, the 7700K beats out the 1800X hands down. We know this. It's proven. But when you go beyond that, that's when this really does come out to its own. I mean, at 100% load, this will walk off and leave processors that are almost double its price. I mean, the i7 6950X or 5960X, one of those two, that's what this is competing with. I mean, no, it's not 10 cores, 20 threads. It's 8 cores, 16 threads. Am I willing to lose 2 cores, 2 threads? Yes, absolutely. Am I willing to lose it for $500? Absolutely. If this processor would have been $750, I can't say that. I can't say I would have given it up for $250. If this processor would have been $750, I probably would have went with the 7700K. Because bang for buck, it would have been by far the better processor. By far and away. But I have what I want. I wanted the new Ryzen ever since I first heard about it, ever since I got the hint AMD was releasing new processors or working on new processors, and I wanted them. And now I have it. I'm living my dream from almost a year ago. I have the PC of my dreams at the moment. I'm happy. I'm honestly happy. Things can't buy you happiness, granted. Getting what you want, what you have wanted, what you've dreamed about, that's what makes you happy. The people in your life is what makes you happy. And my family hasn't been talking down to me. Like, they've said, you know, that's too much, but it's your money, do what you want. They're right. It is too much, but it's my money. I'll spend it if I want. And I do live with my parents. That is a granted. I did move out, but for various reasons I had to move back. Not really financial, so much as a lot of other things. But I live with my parents, and they've always been supportive and respectful of pretty much everything I've ever wanted to do. And I am grateful for this. A lot of people don't have that. A lot of people don't have parents that try to push them to achieve their potential. They just degrade them when they're not doing as well as their parent as they think they should. You know, I've dealt with that. I mean, I've dealt with a parent, and I live with my mother and stepfather, so don't use too much of your imagination here, whom, if my grades weren't good enough, he didn't sit down and talk to me. I got yelled at profusely and punished if my grades were not good enough. That's not how you want your kids to. That makes them feel dumb. You can't yell at someone and expect them to do better if you're not willing to show them how. But I lived with that, and I had a grandmother who put me down every single day. Again, not naming names. She knows who she is. And she's not ever going to watch this video, nor probably will she ever know that I do anything on YouTube. But all the times that I was talked down in life, I tried to make light of it. Maybe I'm not as good as this person seems to think I am, but maybe I can get there. And no, my grades in school, they sucked. Let's face it. I have ADHD. I'm starting to think I have the beginnings of dyslexia because I cannot read off a number without getting two of them flipped at all. But that could also be ADHD just kicking in majorly, but is what it is. I live off of medication because, well, let's face it, if you know what ADHD meds are, literally legal. How the fuck did you... How did that happen? I have no words. Moving on. So I just had to get a good look. I had to be nosy. He's done. You're not going to write that. He's on his site. He's done. Nothing I can do. Point and laugh. But I've always tried to do the best with what I have. I mean, I did go to college. I didn't graduate. Finances did not allow. But then again, I didn't really learn anything when I was in college. Like, I learned how a little bit of programming in C++. That's all they had to teach me. Everything else I already knew. I knew the math. I knew how to write an essay. I knew... What else did I know? I knew everything about computers that they taught me, with the exception of programming. Which I couldn't program now if I wanted to. It's been 4 years since I've tried. But I still have my programming book. I have the ability to crack it open and read. How much of that I retain, not really up to me. But I can read it, and I can read it. I paid for the books out of my own pocket. I have that ability. And I might someday. Programming has always been something that has interested me. And I don't want to do something with it short of... I want to do something fun with it. I don't want to make money off of it because God knows programming is utterly boring. It is. And it's frustrating. It really is. You miss one comma. You miss one symbol. We'll leave it that. If you miss one symbol, whether it be a parenthesis or a comma or a semicolon, your shit just doesn't work. And that is not so good for someone who typos a lot. Especially when you start talking about my final project and for programming. I did a program that passed me 2 classes. And no, I didn't use it to cheat. My math teacher just told me I didn't have to take the exam after it. I made a program that could solve a quadratic equation. It was something like 300 lines of code and ridiculous. It took me about 2 months to do it properly. But when I turned it in, it was perfect in every way. And I went to my math teacher just shortly after, and I was just like, do you mind if I use this? And she was like, okay, what is it? Oh, it was a he. Really awesome guy. I think it was from Haiti. Really cool guy. Really short, African-American guy. Well, he was Haiti, but he was African-American, if you want to call him that. He was a really cool guy. And I asked him if I could use it, and he said, what is it? And I said, this is a program. This was my final project for programming. Basically, it lets me... It'll solve a quadratic equation for me. And he said, okay, how does it work? And I ran through it with him. He said, don't even worry about taking the exam. You're good. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, to make this program, you obviously had to know how it works, and that's all we ask, is that you actually know how it works. And because of that, he passed me with the exam with 100. And the only thing he said was, don't tell anyone else in here. And I didn't. I acted like I took the exam, but in reality, I just marked C for everything. Look, don't do what I do. Don't try to mark C on everything ever, because that's not going to work. Except for apparently on traffic things, like, oh, scheisse. It just don't. I mean, I passed with 100, but extenuating circumstances. But I didn't learn anything in college, short of programming. And it's because I did the research beforehand. I already had experience and knowledge on my side. And if you're going to go to college for something, that's what I recommend you doing. But I use what I already know every single day. What I already knew then, I tried to help the teacher. Like if the teacher said something that wasn't entirely right, or if it wasn't complete, You know, I wasn't disrespectful. I said, you know, that is true, but under these circumstances, or only then, or maybe giving an opposing opinion on something, or giving them a different way of that something's going to work. You have that ability if you have the know-how, and don't try to think you're smarter than your teachers or your professors. You're not. You're not. But anyway, that's that load done on the new Ryzen build, and I hope it actually works this time, because I do want to upload something today, because I said I was going to do it yesterday, but I had problems. So if this works, you will see it. If it doesn't, well, I'm talking to myself for 40 minutes and 37 seconds for no reason. Till then, thank you for stopping by, and I hope you have a good, wonderful morning, evening, noon, night, whatever it is for you, wherever you are, whatever you want to call it. And thank you for stopping by.